Welcome to my bold and beautiful Today's Show channel. I hope today fantastic for everyone. Please hit the subscribes button and give this video thumbs up. Liam says hope only woman for Carter. The bold and the beautiful recap for Friday, May 16th, reveals that Liam Spencer said Hope Logan was the only woman for Carter Walton as Daphne Rose comforted him at the loft. Here's how it all went down on Friday's B&B episode. At Forrester Creations, Brooke Logan cornered Daphne and basically warned her not to get in the way of Carter and Hope's love for each other. After Carter listened to Hope talk to Liam about their future, and how she'd always love him, he stomped back to Forrester Creations. Carter interrupted Brooke's conversation with Daphne, and asked to speak with Daphne privately. Once Brooke left, Daphne quizzed Carter about what happened. Carter muttered about his instincts being wrong and made it clear this was about Hope, so Daphne decided to go home with him since he shouldn't be alone right now. At the Cliff House, Taylor Hayes and John Finnegan reassured Steffi Forrester that giving Hope updates was the right call. Even so, Steffi insisted no one else could know since Liam wanted his brain tumor news kept under wraps. After Finn reflected on past patients who had wanted to die alone, he admitted that their loved ones were crushed and felt betrayed in the end. But Finn said that Liam wasn't alone because he had Hope and Steffi to lean on. Steffi mulled over how unfair it was that Liam was losing his life so young and worried about the daughters he'd leave behind. At Brooke's house, Hope wondered if Liam wished Steffi hadn't come clean to her. Liam didn't wish that, but he still longed for more time before Hope looked at him with sadness in her eyes. Once Liam talked about his desire for Hope to find happiness and grow old with someone, he suggested that someone could give her everything he couldn't. Liam urged Hope to fix her relationship with Carter, and forgive him since he felt that was indeed the path to happiness for her. After Liam reflected on when he first met Hope, he was apologetic for all the suffering that came later. Now that Liam had seen the way Hope looked at Carter, he realized it was the way she used to look at him. Once Liam told Hope to tell Carter how she felt about him, he pushed her to admit she still loved Carter. Liam ultimately declared that Hope was the only woman for Carter, as he gave her another nudge to repair the damage. At Carter's loft, he opened up to Daphne about all his failed romances and mistakes. Daphne realized Hope had broken Carter's heart again, and admitted she was afraid this would happen. After Daphne said she wouldn't be surprised if Hope reunited with Liam, Carter ranted about everything he did for Hope, only to get cast aside like he meant nothing. Carter insisted Daphne was right along, so she assured him that she was there for him now and always. Carter storms off over Hope choosing Liam. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Friday, May 16th, reveal that Carter Walton will storm off over Hope Logan choosing Liam Spencer, so Daphne Rose will basically tell Carter, "I told you so," in the aftermath. Outside Brooke Logan's house, Carter was stunned by what he overheard. Liam suggested his romantic chapter with Hope was closed and pushed her to embrace a future with Carter, but Hope quickly shut down that idea. Carter is devastated because Hope made it clear that she still wanted to make the most of her future with Liam, and promised that they would be together. Carter was visibly disappointed over Hope picking Liam over him, so it won't be long until he storms off. Of course, Carter will presumably leave before he eavesdrops on anything that pertains to Liam's brain tumor and fatal prognosis. This news would be a lot easier to take if Carter had all the facts, but he'll probably just assume Liam has been the real holdup on Hope's reunion with him all along. Once Carter meets back up with Daphne and offers updates on what happened, she'll think this is just more evidence of Hope's fickle heart. Daphne has been trying to make Carter see that Hope makes questionable choices when it comes to men, so she'll hope he can see that as well now that he's devastated. However, Daphne will assure Carter that he doesn't have to be alone since she's right there waiting to begin their own romantic chapter. Carter has been resisting Daphne's advances for the most part, but he won't really have a reason to anymore now that Hope's pledged her devotion to Liam instead. Daphne will urge Carter to accept that she's right about him needing to put Hope in the rearview mirror, so he may let his growing feelings for Daphne take over soon enough. Back with Liam on Friday's B&B episode, he'll make another attempt to get through to Hope about Carter and their chance at romantic bliss. Liam will appreciate how much Hope wants to savor their time together, but he'll think she needs to consider her long-term future, one that she could spend building with Carter. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say things could get complicated if Hope decides she wants Carter back too late, especially if he's already surrendering to Daphne's passion. Will Carter Walton pull a Liam? The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Friday, May 16, 2025. Tease Liam only wanting what he thinks is best for Hope. Liam needs Hope happy. Although Liam Spencer is relieved that he no longer has to conceal his illness from Hope Logan, he remains depressed about the prospect of abandoning his two young daughters. He also just wants to see Hope happy and hates that she now wants to spend every waking moment with him. Liam once again encourages Hope to forgive Carter Walton and give him a second chance, but it's hard for Hope to even think about Carter at the moment when she knows she is going to lose Liam. However, all Liam can think about is how Steffi Forrester Finnegan is happily married to John Finn Finnegan and Hope is still all alone. Carter is right there for the taking. Read this, the bold and the beautiful spoilers. Will Hope catch Carter and Daphne in a steamy moment? Liam is sure he is a man who will remain faithful and true to Hope, which is all she has ever wanted since every man she has ever been with has cheated on her. Liam can't imagine that Carter is not that kind of man. Carter's ready to do something dumb. Perhaps Carter isn't the man that Liam thinks he is because as soon as he overhears something at the door that he shouldn't, Carter goes running to another woman. Daphne Rose is present, waiting for Carter to forget about Hope Logan, the annoying little girl. Isn't this something Liam would do? Isn't this something Rich Forrester would do? Carter has been harping on about how Hope is the only woman he wants, but as soon as he hears him, he moves on to a different woman. Daphne thinks all of her dreams have come true, and she can thank a dying man with an inoperable brain tumor for all of it. We guess she will take her man any way she can get him. Liam's deathbed confession, the ultimate answer to the Hope versus Steffi question. The bold and the beautiful spoilers and updates tease that Liam Spencer's 7-word deathbed revelation could resolve the rivalry between Hope Logan and Steffi Forrester. Fans have witnessed Liam's struggle as he oscillated between these two significant women for years. Liam was to blame for much of the rivalry with his waffling between the two women. At times, Liam treated Steffi as if she were his true love, while at other times it appeared that Hope was his destined partner he couldn't decide. Sadly, Liam's tendency to waver between the two led to him causing more pain than necessary for both women, and they often fought over him. Steffi and Hope each had their flaws, but it's clear that Liam's uncertainty caused a lot of tension between them because neither of them felt safe around him. Eventually, Steffi found happiness with John Finn Finnegan, but the memories of her relationship with Liam and their shared romance linger on. Similarly, Hope and Liam also had a remarkable love story. That is, when the narrative allowed them to enjoy their happiness, which over the years wasn't very often. Liam has daughters with both Hope and Steffi. Steffi and Hope both have daughters with Liam, creating a unique bond with their past love. Fans have long speculated about who truly holds the top spot in Liam's affections. With Liam now battling a terminal brain tumor, could B&B finally settle this debate? If Liam's character is indeed being written off, the series might just unveil the ultimate victor in this romantic triangle. The person who wins Liam's heart in his final moments may determine the outcome. As Hope's part in Liam's poignant narrative takes the spotlight, she might have the opportunity to express his genuine feelings one last time. Liam may make a 7-word deathbed confession. In that scenario, Liam might utter this poignant 7-word confession: "You are my one true love, Hope." Although he has previously expressed this to her, sharing it when he is unable to reevaluate his feelings for Steffi will make it more significant. If B&B decides on a particularly dramatic twist, Liam could make this sincere declaration to Hope by choosing her as he approaches the conclusion. He could even do so while being held in Hope's arms. Time seems to be running out for Liam, as no miracle procedure has been found for a last-minute save, although of course it could still happen. Upcoming spoilers for the CBS soap indicate that Liam may continue to confront challenging health updates, so keep an eye out for news on whether he will indeed face a dire outcome. One of the most harrowing and revealing days in recent B&B history occurred on Friday, May 16th, when love, loyalty, and heartbreak collided in a sweeping storm of human emotion. It was the day that Hope Logan learned from Liam Spencer, who was dying of a terminal brain tumor, that she was Carter Walton's only woman. This shocking and selfless statement rattled the hearts of everyone who was involved in this complicated triangle, and may have altered the course of several lives forever. The episode unfolded like a tragic symphony, with each character playing their own poignant instrument in the ballad of loss, misguided love, and fleeting hope. It began at Forrester Creations where Brooke Logan confronted Daphne Rose, delivering a clear warning cloaked in a deceptively polite tone. Stay away from Carter and Hope. Brooke, ever the protective mother and hopeless romantic, still believed in Hope and Carter as the endgame couple. Yet this belief clashed with the harsh realities beginning to take shape. Carter, having just heard a tender, sorrowful conversation between Hope and Liam, misread the entire situation, his heart already fragile from Hope's rejection, breaking into pieces. His instincts screamed that he'd once again fallen for the wrong woman, and this time he wasn't prepared to mend the pieces. He stormed into Brooke's conversation, dragged Daphne aside, and invited her to leave with him, desperate for comfort and clarity. Back at the Cliff House, Steffi Forrester reeled from the enormity of what she had done, sharing Liam's secret with Hope. With Finn and Taylor reassuring her, she clung to the hope that telling the truth had been the right decision, but the weight of Liam's imminent death, and the potential fallout from it, loomed large. Finn, with the compassion of a seasoned doctor and the heart of a husband, reflected on patients who chose solitude in their final days, and the lingering pain they left behind. He assured Steffi that Liam was not alone. He had both her and Hope, two women who loved him deeply in very different ways. At Brooke's house, the emotional crux of the episode played out in a heartrending conversation between Liam and Hope. Hope, still in shock from learning about Liam's condition, clung to the idea of spending every moment left with him, trying to anchor herself in a fleeting present she could barely comprehend. But Liam, ever selfless in these last days, took a different route. He gently but firmly encouraged Hope to look toward the future. Not the rapidly fading one with him, but a real, enduring future with someone who could give her everything he no longer could. In a moment of raw vulnerability, Liam suggested that someone was Carter. He didn't want Hope's grief to last forever and turn into a ghost haunting his memory. He wanted her to heal, to love again, and to build the life they'd once dreamed of with someone else. He confessed that he saw the same spark in her eyes when she looked at Carter, and he brought back the way she used to look at him and the spark that had established their first love. Then came the words that stunned viewers. Hope, you're the only woman for Carter. This wasn't just Liam stepping aside. It was Liam dying, giving Carter his blessing, choosing to use his final days to mend the hearts he'd broken so many times over. But as soap opera fate would have it, Carter overheard only part of that conversation, the first few hopeful moments, not Liam's full, selfless speech. Hope, in her grief and fear, pulled away from the suggestion. She insisted she still wanted to be with Liam, still wanted to fight fate, to make the most of every remaining second. Carter, not knowing Liam was dying, left crushed and disillusioned, convinced that Hope had once again chosen Liam over him. Heartbreak quickly turned to bitterness. He vented to Daphne back at the loft, unleashing years of pent-up frustration over failed relationships and broken trust. He couldn't believe he'd once again become a stepping stone in someone else's love story, and Daphne, the ever-patient friend with her own secret hopes, stood by him. She gently told him she feared this would happen, that Hope was too unpredictable, too wedded to old flames. Daphne, emboldened by Carter's pain, offered him her heart once again, making it clear she was ready to be his next chapter. Carter, disillusioned and vulnerable, no longer had a reason to resist. Daphne was right there, waiting, warm and understanding, a comfort in the wake of Hope's rejection. The irony was sharp. While Liam made one of the most noble gestures in soap history, encouraging the woman he loved to love another man, that very man was spiraling into the arms of someone else, too wounded to understand the full truth. What Liam saw as a blessing, Carter heard as rejection. And so the triangle took yet another devastating twist. Liam, for his part, didn't stop fighting for Hope's future even in the shadow of death. He continued urging her to make peace with Carter, to give him another chance. He was aware that time was passing. He could feel it in the way his body faltered, in the exhaustion that followed every emotional conversation. But his priority was no longer himself. It was Hope, her happiness, and her life after his. He hated that she wanted to spend every second with him, knowing it would only make goodbye more excruciating. Meanwhile, Daphne reveled in the emotional chaos. She hadn't engineered any of it, but she saw the opportunity for what it was. In her heart, she believed she was simply stepping in where Hope had failed to commit. She viewed Liam's illness almost as divine timing, a tragic blessing that would finally deliver Carter into her waiting arms. It was not lost on viewers how familiar this move felt, how Ridge had so often bounced between Brooke and Taylor, or how Liam himself had ricocheted between Steffi and Hope over the years. And now Carter, the supposedly grounded, stable one, was proving to be just as susceptible to impulsive love, charging into the arms of the next woman who offered comfort. It was a full-circle moment not just for him, but for the bold and the beautiful itself, a show that thrives on the cyclical nature of love, betrayal, and redemption. The bigger question that arose at the end of the episode was, would Hope leave too late? Would she reach for Carter only to find him in Daphne's arms? Would she try to hold on to a life that was getting smaller by the minute during Liam's final days? Or would Liam's words eventually sink in and guide her toward the future he envisioned? A future she'd been too heartbroken to imagine? And then there was the ultimate question, the one fans had debated for over a decade. Who was Liam's true love, Hope or Steffi? As Liam's time dwindled, his every word became more meaningful, his every look laced with finality. Hope had always believed that Liam's heart was torn, that he loved her and Steffi in equal measure but never fully chose. But now, on his deathbed, he was choosing. Maybe not in the traditional romantic sense but in the deeper eternal sense. He wanted Hope to live, to move on, to find joy again. He wanted her to be with someone who wouldn't break her heart, someone who would never betray her. He thought Carter was that person. In perhaps his most selfless moment, he was giving her away to someone else, not because he didn't love her but because he did. Yet fans watching closely might wonder if Liam's motivations were tinged not just with love, but with guilt. He had previously betrayed Hope. He had waffled. He had harmed Steffi and Hope, and as he stared death in the face, he may have viewed this final act as a form of repentance. He was attempting to mend what he had broken by giving up his final days with Hope, and in the end, if he did utter those 7 words, "You are my one true love, Hope," it would seal a legacy of tragic romance that B&B had spent years building. That final confession could change everything. It could offer Hope closure, or tear her heart apart anew. It could give Steffi peace or ignite old resentments. It could even shape how the audience remembers Liam, not as the eternal waffler, but as a man who finally made the hardest choice of all. But the irony of this entire episode, and perhaps this entire arc, was that everyone was acting on half-truths. Carter thought he'd been abandoned when in fact he was being honored. Daphne thought she was the answer when she might be the consolation prize. Hope thought she could freeze time when time was slipping through her fingers. And Liam, noble and tragic, thought he was solving everything, when he may have just made the love triangle even messier.